Tips and tricks, tips and tricks, tips and tricks. It's time for tips and tricks. Oh, hey everybody. And today it's time to do the everyone's favorite segment of Old Pirates Tips and Tricks. So, one tip, well, this is actually a bit more of a trick, if you will, is if you're going to, if you work at a job and you're going into work, something that I would do is right before, I'd make sure that I was getting there just a little bit early. I mean, you only need a minute to do this. And before you go into the building, maybe you're around the corner, you just stand still, and I'd take 10 deep breaths. Slow as fuck. I'd give myself a full minute to do it. Slowly. 10 is all you need. Some days I'd do more, some days I'd do 15, 16, Whatever it was for that day, but I'd do that every day. I'm not talking about meditation, I'm not talking about having a timer and saying, we'll spend 20 minutes trying to focus on your breath. None of that. Just 10 deep breaths. Do that, go into work. Another work trick is I wouldn't take breaks, ever. The only time I would take a break at work is if they were giving me food. Like, because I used to work at a restaurant and sometimes they'd just cook me food and let me eat on the clock. So I would do that. And then sometimes they have like a mandatory break, or like basically like, I don't know if it was time. No, it was definitely on the clock. It was always on the clock, I think. If I had to clock out, I would clock out, But if it was a situation of like, you can take 5 minutes on the clock, or you can clock out for 15 minutes if you want to, never do that. Never, ever. Not once. And the reason for that is when I'm at work, I'm there to work. And I'm there because I want to be there. I want to be doing what I'm doing. And while I do see the value in breaks and how they actually are nice, the times that maybe I was, my manager would take a break and I would have to take it with him or something like that, like, I did enjoy having that little rest period, but what that does is that forms another level of connection with the work that I really didn't. I detest that. Like, to be so embedded in it that you're actually meta, like, having time of not work within work, like, that is, it's like you're weaving your life into it, and I didn't like that at all. I like to think of work as something that just is like a single use. What's a good example of something like that? Just something disposable. Like, you go there, you use the thing, and it's over. And I'd do it as long as I'd like it, and then I'd quit. I never had to work because I didn't spend all my money on fucking cigarettes and alcohol and clothes and shit. I didn't spend money on shit. You know? Like, anyways, back to what I was talking about. I didn't take any breaks, and I always did my job really, really, really fucking well. And no matter what the job was, I'd work my ass off, or at least do everything to make everyone super happy, and that felt really fun. Because I was never worried about getting, caught for slacking, because I wasn't slacking. I was never hating my job because I was making it mine. Nobody had to tell me what to do because I'd do it. I mean, it was just like, literally, when I would work, it would be like I would enjoy working in and of itself, and then I'd enjoy getting paid, and then I'd enjoy coming home from work and doing whatever I wanted in that time. So it was like a win-win-win scenario with every job I had, except for one job. But I quit that job really fast because I didn't like it. But at my other jobs, so what's the tip? The tip is to like it, to treat it like something that you like, and to like it. And you have to like it. Because if you don't like your job, you're an idiot. You're literally so fucking stupid. Because you're basically deciding that you're gonna not like 40 hours of your week. And that's a really fucking dumb decision. And that doesn't mean you should quit your job. There's some jobs that suck. I mean, the job I was working, I was changing oil. And I was in the pit. And that meant that every day I was exposing myself to shit that probably gave me cancer, even from just the 2 months I worked there. Or I'll get cancer at some point in my life because of that. And if it wasn't for that, I would have kept working there. Because, there's good and bad at every job. It's probably bad for my ears with the noise, but if I didn't feel like I was destroying my body physically, then I would have had no problem working there. I never thought about the money. I never thought that I was doing work for money. I had to think that I was doing work for work, and I never thought of my boss as my superior. And I'd, sometimes do sort of socially awkward things, ways of interacting with my bosses that, weren't necessarily the most respectful things to do. But I couldn't, I can't live with myself if I'm seeing a superior person to me. I can't live with myself if I'm hating my work. I can't live with myself if I'm living for money. Like, these are all like really bad mindsets to have. So my advice is you do your breathing, then you go into work, and you love it every single day. You love it, and you own it. I mean, if you do everything that you have to do, first of all, jobs, I mean, I don't really know the types of jobs that my audience is working, but your standard job is easy as fuck. I mean, it is significantly below, you know, your capacity of what you can do as a person. Like, it's just like mindless, dumb shit that doesn't take any effort or skill. You know, anything in the service industry would fall under that category. And so you do that easy shit, and it's easy, and it's fun, and you get to meet new people, and you get to be a part of, you know, a group of people there. I mean, you get to, like, have your coworkers, which is nice. And in some jobs you get to really be yourself too. I mean, you can, you know, talk a lot with people, and it's nice. I loved working at my jobs. I just saw everything as a positive, you know? Every interaction is a positive. Yeah, there were times that I didn't want to be doing, like, a particular task at work. Sure, I mean, I'm only human. But I'd go into every day with the expectation that it would be fucking hell that day. You know, I'd say today it's gonna be fucking slammed, or fucking, I mean, if it's dead, then you're getting paid to chill, you know, which is fucking incredible, you know. I mean, now I have even more perspective on that, like, yeah, but that's not relatable. And once you're done with your job, then you're tips and tricks. What's the tips or tricks? Tips and tricks for, first of all, go and check out Hobo Alley on YouTube. Hobo, Hobo Alley, Ahle, I believe. It's maybe Alhe. I don't remember, but you'll find her. A perfect channel. I mean, just, she has another one too. I forget the name. I'm sorry. But that if you are planning on living in your car, she is the go-to. Basically everything that you need there. Super positive and encouraging, like fucking awesome. Yeah. Yeah, and she's cute as fuck, which isn't important. But anyways, I don't even remember the tips or tricks I was gonna give on this. I learned everything from her channel, and also watched a few other videos. I had a center console which was, like, very much raised and couldn't be removed between my driver and passenger seat, so sleeping across them wasn't really an option. In some cars you can do that. I also learned that the red blinking light is a deterrent for your car getting jacked, so I was actually covering that up the first couple nights because I thought it drew attention. I know I have anxiety, but it then it was reassuring. I'd go in the back. I was doing it in a sedan, no tint, just yeah, sedan. And yeah, free campsites, I used that, it was great. I did get some of the other apps that would show you, like, Walmarts and truck stops, and those kind of sucked. I mean, sometimes I'd get a good thing on that. I mean, Walmart's, it's good to, there's most states it's legal to stay in a Walmart, so did that a lot. A lot of hotel parking lots. But what was I thought I had a specific tip. So what I ended up doing is I would sleep predominantly in the passenger seat, because in the driver's seat I realized that I'd have my foot on the brake the whole night and have my lights on. So I ended up doing it in the passenger seat. I'd move the seat back as far as possible. I'd recline it as far as possible. Then I had a big trash bag that I filled with blankets, and I put that in the, sorry, I don't know cars, but wherever your feet go there, in that area. And then I'd kind of kick it down a little bit, and then it would form sort of like an extension of the seat. So I was ultimately, definitely not in a lying down position, but I was, it was okay. It worked. Then with that, I went inside of a sleeping bag. And then, yeah, at first it was winter and I was in the Northeast, in New England, so I'd have like, gloves and a hat and jacket. I did crack my windows slightly to get some airflow. It's so special, you guys. I couldn't recommend something more, like to have like the rain dripping on your face. Oh my gosh. And to look up like through the back seat window, because that when you're lying down, you're like that far back, and you see like the moon and see like Orion's belt. I mean, depending on what country you're in, but it was so fucking nice. That car has a sunroof, so I'd crack that as well. Usually, in the Walmart, I just like pull up, sleep. I fucking miss that, you guys. Fucking miss that. Pull up and sleep in the Walmart. Pull up to the campground, sleep at the campground. I honestly prefer it to sleeping in a tent, I mean, sleeping on the ground, roughing it is the best, but the car, yeah, there's something nice about the car. If you like being in a car, I actually didn't, I mean, I didn't like driving, I guess, before that, but then I just became my life. Did that for like 2 months. Fuck. It's a long time. How did I afford that? Yeah, I tried to do NoFap at the beginning, and I just started doing dumb shit. Like, I was just at a college and was just like doing approaches, like, so weird. I mean, I guess that's what happens, like, I don't know. It's not weird, I guess a lot of people do it, but I'd never done that before in my life, but NoFap. Anyways, I thought I had some fucking advice. Thought I had some tips or some tricks. I don't know. The setup was, so I was going to talk about my setup. I'd keep like the sweet and salty, those nut bars, I'd keep those in the driver's side and passenger side door, like in that little slot where you can put stuff in. So I'd just have some food right there in the morning. I kept a container of gummy vitamins in the glove compartment. And then I changed around my shit so much, but what I ultimately ended up doing is I'd keep a lot of shit. I was doing it alone, so that made it easy in one regard, which was I'd keep a lot of shit on the passenger seat. Then when I'd go to sleep, I'd move that shit over to the driver's seat. And then when I wake up, I'd move it back. And that ended up being the easiest way to do it. And the shit that I'd keep there is my hat and gloves and shit that I'd wear when I slept. Which I guess I probably ended up putting somewhere else, maybe putting in the trunk after I got to California. But anyways, I got an Atlas, which was sick. I'd recommend actually getting an Atlas at some point. That one I'd keep on the seat. I'd sometimes keep some food there, like a box of Cheez-Its or something, and maybe some drinks. I'd keep water there, I'm pretty sure. No, I kept water in the back. I kept my water bottle there. And I would also keep, I mean, you could see in my old videos. I honestly don't even remember. Maybe some like just shit that was related to like where I was at the time or something. I don't remember. Then in the center console, I'd sometimes keep a little bit of food there. I keep like maybe my can opener there. For food, oh, I'll do a whole thing on shopping probably in this video too. But then, in the back seat, what I ultimately ended up doing was I'd have a bag for clean laundry, and then I got a laundry bag. It took me like 2 months to do it, but I got a laundry bag for my dirty laundry. Before I think I was putting it in a trash bag, or I just like put it in a pile. Like I don't even remember. So I basically I'd have clean laundry, dirty laundry, sleeping bag, which inside the sleeping bag I'd keep my blankets and shit. And then I'd also have food, which I kept in the back seat. And that was the thing, because I used to keep my food in the passenger seat, like where their feet go, which I think was what Allie did. But I ended up sleeping there, so I had to change that. So food I'd keep in the back seat, and I'd also keep my guitar there, and my computer, and of course, like I'd cover that shit up at night. And yeah. Then I'd just have little trash, which I kept like also in the door, like in just that little thing. I'd put my dental floss there. Oh yeah, this was the one tip, was that I would brush when I would go to sleep. I would first go to a different parking lot, not the one I was going to sleep in, and I would brush my teeth there. And I'd brush my teeth, and then I'd open the driver's door and I'd spit on the ground. And then I'd you know, swish some water in my mouth and spit again. You know, kind of clean my toothbrush in my mouth and spit. And I used to keep my sleeping bag in the trunk. So I'd go into the trunk, get that out, bring it around, you know, just do all this sus stuff somewhere else. And then when I would drive over to the sleeping spot, I'd already be, you know, good to go. Yeah. Did I drive it in my sleeping bag once? No, that would have been ridiculous. But yeah, I'd have my seat reclined even already. Like I'd just be so ready. And obviously I'd scout out the sleeping spot before and then go to the other place to do the nighttime ritual. It was a whole system, but it worked out really well. And yeah, I'd recommend. So I would shop usually at Walmart, sometimes at the one that I sleep at, and I would buy bread, peanut butter, jelly in like big ass containers if I could, like the biggest ones I could get. It's actually not always the best value to get the largest thing. Is something you should be aware of. Sometimes at the medium size or even the smaller size, you get a better value than the bigger ones. They'll try to trick you because it's counterintuitive, but should be aware of this. It's rare, but it's, yeah, I always check because I do see it sometimes. I'd buy tuna, I'd buy sardines, the different kinds of sardines in hot sauce or in what were the other ones? Mustard or something? I don't know. You get the different types of sardines, different types of the ones in hot sauce, different brands. Sardines, tuna, bread. It's important to me to get bread that I like somewhat. I wasn't raised eating Wonder Bread, and I like really do appreciate, bread that costs like a couple more dollars. So that's something I would spend extra money on. I'd buy tomatoes. I buy sometimes oranges or grapefruits. I would think a lot about buying clementines, and then I wouldn't buy them because they don't make me happy. This is a tip actually for grocery shopping in general. So I'm a nervous person. I'm a thinker, and so when I first started grocery shopping for myself, I would think about the price of the food. I would think about the health, how healthy the food is. I would think about how much food I'm buying. And I would think about what else? Price, health, amount. There was one other big one. Maybe if I was eating animals or not. Oh, if I liked it or not. God, Jesus Christ. Yeah. Oh, and I would think about like meals and stuff. So basically, I threw all of that out, and I just decided I'm gonna pick the food that it makes me happy to buy that food, and that takes into account all of those things. So I just do it emotionally, and that's worked perfectly, because if something is, it's at this price, it's at this health, it's at this, and this, and it all works out. And it's a holistic thing. It's a full, like, it's not each section. I mean, I don't know. It's, yeah, I mean, yeah, it is each section, but anyways. So, yeah, I'd occasionally buy some apples as well. Always, checking how the produce was looking. I brought like broccoli once, or maybe some other green, like lettuce or something. Yeah, I think I bought a head of lettuce a couple times. And then I would also buy cans, the chunky cans. So for dinner, I'd usually have one of those, like either the Progresso or Chunky Campbell's can of something. Just have it cold out of the can. I just bought plastic silverware because fuck it. I used one thing of plastic silverware. Fuck you. And throughout the day, I'd make a couple PB&J sandwiches. Sometimes I'd make, I usually make a few at a time. So I'd eat one then, have one later. I just lay the bread on the center console and make them like that. It's really easy to make a couple of them at once. then you can have one for later. It's fucking life-changing to do things for yourself. Smallest shit. But that you're doing something for yourself later. Like, I used to make sandwiches for myself when I'd go to work. It's fucking amazing. Fucking incredible. Anyways, I also would, what else would I eat? Did I buy bananas? I must have bought bananas too. Oh, and I'd buy lots of drinks. Just have a lot of seltzer. I got sweet tea that one time. It was fucking amazing. Some like weird off-brand sodas and stuff, like, and you know, I had to buy water when I was going into the desert, so I had a bunch of water, but before I just have my water bottle, which, you know, you can drink tap water in America. It's wild, but so I just drink water from wherever. It's really, really, really incredible to be able to drink tap water. Like, oh my god. You cannot drink tap water here. And what else? Yeah, I had a mix CD. It's a good thing to have. Mix CD. I had 6 that I made. I'd listen to the radio too. And you learn to get along with yourself. Like, that was the thing. A few days in, I was just like, you know, doing my standard arguing in my head, and it's like, look, bro, you are your only fucking company here, so you need to make friends, make amends. You have to get along, because there's nobody else that's gonna, you know, build you up here. Like, there's nobody that's gonna be, you know, because usually I have friends that are, you know, encouraging and amazing, but when you don't have friends around, you gotta be your friends. I mean, you have to do that for yourself, because otherwise you're totally defenseless. You know, if you're fighting yourself, you have literally nobody to help you from that. And another tips and tricks. Make sure your car works. I don't know. Put all my money in gas. Spend all my money on gas. Thought I had some more tips or tricks. Driving. Oh, you go to Starbucks all the time. I'd go to Starbucks and charge everything. I spend my whole life waiting for my laptop to charge. Charging my laptop, charging my phone. My charger in my car doesn't work. That was a huge thing, actually. So I'd always be going to Starbucks, going to Subway. You know, at Starbucks you can get something for like $2. It's probably the cheapest thing you can get. Just get that and charge. Subways have wall outlets. That's an important thing. You know, not all of them, but sometimes they do. So just throughout my life I've gone to Subway a lot. I remember I was in New York. It doesn't really matter that it was New York, but I went into a Subway. I filled my water bottle from their machine. I charged my laptop, charged my phone, used their bathroom. You know, I didn't buy anything. There was maybe something else, but I just was like, yes, I am like completely like just using this for everything free that it has. Oh, subways also have like Wi-Fi with no password. That was another thing. Oh yeah, I was using their Wi-Fi. That was the other thing I was doing. Um, that's really the key thing about subways, because you can get like outlets at like McDonald's and stuff, but they have passwords usually. Um, but Starbucks, you don't need a password. Do you need a password for the Wi-Fi at Starbucks? There's no way. How do I not remember this? What the fuck? Like, comment in the comments below if you need a Wi-Fi password at Starbucks. Anyways, what else? I don't think that you do. Anyways, go to Starbucks all day, go on my phone all day. Vlog, that was a huge thing for me. I loved vlogging. That was like, I never had a smartphone before I started doing that, so it's great to finally really be able to vlog. Is there not tips or tricks? What's another tip or trick? I don't remember. I never really figured out the showering thing. I just kind of wouldn't shower until I found one. I showered at the beach once. I showered in this bike store in Austin that lets you shower. Shouts out Mel Johnny's. You have to pay them $1, but you get to shower. Showered at like a hotel when I stayed there a couple times. Showered with friends when I stayed with them, of course. Did a lot of hiking. Oh, I wanted to tell that one anecdote again, that when I was in Marble Falls, it was nighttime, and I was trying to find this site on free campsites. I was trying to get there before it got dark, but there was some traffic, and then I ended up getting rerouted on Waze because of the traffic. And so then I just started listening to the radio, and they had this piece, and they were saying how it is not by J.S. Bach, but by J.B. Bach, the lesser-known brother, Johann Bernhard Bach. And I was listening to that, and I was riding, and up in Marble Falls, it's like these really hilly roads. And I said that in the other video, but like you're going up and down over these hills, and in my car it was so fun because I just like bombed these hills, and like and they'd turn and stuff and be really steep, and like it was so fun. Yeah, I was so down. Also, it was odd, like, there was one time I was leaving the site, and this was during the day, and there was like a big straight stretch of road. It was kind of like a valley, and I just saw this car coming towards me in my lane. I was like, what the fuck? And then I think I pulled over. But they were just passing somebody. But it was weird because, like, I guess they were pretty far away, but, like, it's a pretty fast road, and, like, I'm sure I've seen that before, like, passing into the other lane. Like, because here people do that all the time, and I'm pretty sure it's not too uncommon in America also, like, Yeah, I've definitely like done that before, like, or like my dad's been driving and then he does that, but like, I don't know. It didn't feel safe at all. Like I was just really scared, or I was just confused. I was like, what the fuck? It was like a big white car too, but that was all right. Um, yeah. This one night at that campsite, there was a car that just kept turning its lights on throughout the night. Its lights would go on and then they'd shut off again. And I, of course, got scared because, like, I couldn't, I couldn't, I was scared all the time, but I couldn't, think of a reason why he would be doing that, why that would be happening. It was late at night. It was maybe midnight or something. And the lights would turn on, and then they turn off again, and then they turn on again, and then they turn off again. And I'm pretty sure I heard him like going into his trunk. It was really scary. And then it was fine. I mean, I eventually somehow was able to go to sleep, and then it was fine the next day. But I just didn't know what the fuck. I wanted to ask him, but I didn't know how to approach him, like what to say. But it's really like I'm still not sure what could have been going on. That like the headlights and stuff, like the lights to his car, and yeah, not inside, I don't think. But yeah, it was weird for me because like I don't know, I just didn't know what was why. Texas is my favorite state. I'd love to go to Alaska though, and Florida. Um, I wonder what other islands there are besides the islands of Hawaii between the Americas and like when you get into like Fiji and like those islands. I think fuck, I'm gonna sound so ignorant, but I think Samoas maybe. I don't know. Where's Guam? Is that out there too? Um, Also, Bella Thorne is really hot. Um, yeah, I'm curious about like the Bering Strait and like that area. It's definitely one area I'm drawn to. And sort of like I don't know what is the deal with Greenland. I'm gonna look that up. I don't know shit about Greenland. Or Kazakhstan, really. I mean, I know a little bit. But, like, I don't know what the religion is there. Not that that matters. Um, that's another tip or trick. I don't know. It's pretty straightforward, I guess. You just kind of go to sleep. It was basically just brushing my teeth, flossing, going to sleep, waking up, eating, going to sleep. It's really nothing to say that isn't like already covered. So fun. Actually so fun. I no, I'm so happy that it happened exactly the way it did. I wouldn't change anything. Um, but I was gonna say the one thing that I didn't do was go, and yeah, now I remember why, but I, I kind of wanted to go north. I remember I was in, maybe it was, the idea was, I mean, I've had that idea forever, but, you know, I was gonna go home pretty early on, like within actually a week or so. I was like, "Fuck this! I'm not feeling this." And then I just decided, no, I'll just gun it to Houston, and from there, I'm sure I would have continued to California, but I was like, I'll just go to Houston, you know, slash, continue through Texas. So I did that, and then of course, Big Bend has been on my mind like forever, so that's obviously where I landed, but the other idea was that I'd go north because for whatever reason I was thinking this was going to be the last time I got to do that alone, and otherwise would be traveling with friends. And I could conceivably go to Big Bend with friends, but wouldn't see my friends wanting to just drive into Oklahoma like without any destination. So for most of the trip I did things like that. Like I was just, I'd drive through Virginia or just through Delaware, like um really just places where I had no idea what I was doing or where I was or like what there was to do, just be on some like go through like just residential streets or just like through some like offshoot like off of the highway, like go I was out in New Orleans, not in New Orleans, but in um around there actually, in Baton Rouge. And I just was down where it was like you start to like you can't even tell like what's land and what's water, and it's like all foggy and like if you see the new Tom Cruise movie where it's uh the Pablo Escobar movie and they're like dropping the bags of coke there, it looks just like that. It's like all like you know foggy, and there's one dude, there was just a house there, and I really wanted to go up to him, but I'm sure he was not living there because he loves being around people. Um, but that was awesome. I was very conscious of my gas that day because I had to drive really far to get out there, and I was like, okay, I gotta go back eventually, but I made it. I made it. There's a beach there at the end, so I went out to the beach. It's just like a foggy, cold beach. Um, So that was great. I do that all the time. Like usually what I do is I'd start driving. Some days I'd want to be on the interstate, some days I wouldn't. Never had any idea where I was going. You know, every turn was like yeah, let's turn this way. Yeah, let's turn that way. No reasoning for any of it. Just burning gas, just putting all of my money that I'd earned into gas. You know, I'd spend like maybe $30 on gas like every single day. That might be high, slightly, but honestly, like, you know, driving 4 hours a day, at least, you know, not at least, but, you know, on average, maybe it must have been more than 4 hours, I'm not sure. But yeah, the idea was to do shit that I could only do alone. Because I was alone, I wanted to do the things that I could only do alone. You know, which meant a lot of, like, yeah, stuff with zero information and not necessarily. I mean, for me, it was always something, you know? Even if it was just driving to places where there wasn't shit, you know? I mean, the boringest drive is I-20, like I said in the other video, going through, you know, Alabama, Mississippi. That drive is boring as fuck. But that was when I was just trying to get to Houston, also. Do you guys know that I had an experience once where I woofed in Missouri, and it was absolutely life-changing for me because I was exposed to like a good Christian home that like was extremely like moral, and like there was it was a couple who lived there with their children, and then the wife's father also like lived on the property. They had a few other like, there was another couple that lived there, and then another guy that lived there, and then someone else that he didn't live there but he worked there. I mean, he had like they had a it was super interesting. Anyways, the wife's father, shouts out to John, he had done some stuff with breath work, I believe, and like was, you know, had some interest, you know, it was really just one conversation right before I left, actually, about, I guess, spirituality or consciousness. You know, he was a really, they were all amazing guys. I mean, he was, and then his daughter, and then his son-in-law. All really unique, really special people, like, so special, like, and their children. I mean, I wasn't gonna really go into it, and it's, you know, it's personal. I mean, they're on the internet, but anyways, I have dreams a lot about being at that farm. I have like pretty frequent dreams, and they're kind of scary to me. I mean, because, well, one kind of dream I get a lot is that I'm in a foreign country and I'm lost and I'm scared, like I'm in Africa or I'm somewhere in South America, and it's not like real life. Like if in real life this were to happen, like I feel like I'm kind of in that scenario a lot, like, you know, um, it's like I just go into a building, like, you know, I mean, even in India, like, I was constantly lost in India. I didn't even have a phone, and it was always no problem, like, because wherever you are, everyone else there, they just live there. Like, it's not like a huge big deal to be anywhere, you know? mean, the only place that would genuinely be scary is if you're like, in somewhere that's completely if you're stranded in the middle of the ocean or something like that, or you're like in the middle of a desert. But if you're anywhere where there's other people, like, it's livable conditions, you know what I mean? Like, it's a strange fantasy, like, it's a strange, like, fear to have, I guess. Just to not know, like, where you are, because it's like everyone else knows where they are. Anyways, in my dream, though, I don't have that sense. It's scary, and it's like the buildings are like super big, and like it's just really weird that I'm lost, and like, no one gives a shit. I mean, sometimes nobody gives a shit, but still, it's like, what are you actually afraid is going to happen to you? But I have the fear. I have these dreams sometimes where I'm kind of like somewhere and I'm lost, and then I end up on that farm again. And it's strange. And then it's almost realistic. Like I'm like just back there again, and it's like it's so strange to go back to places. It's always so strange. Anyways, that might be it for today. Fuck, it's been an hour. I have dreams a lot, like where I'm driving, and then the road will kind of like go off into the air, and will kind of like curve around and stuff, and like be really weird and scary and big, and but I also like am so unfazed, like I don't care ever in my dreams, like I'm just so used to it. I had actually a terrifying dream the other night. I actually woke up in fear. Did I mention that in a video? I don't remember what that was. It must have been someone was screaming or something. It was like a horrifying nightmare. I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal, but like, what the fuck happened? I don't remember, and I didn't want to go back to sleep. That was crazy. I don't know if I mentioned, I've been waking up physically shaking. It happened in the morning too, so I'm gonna see if it's tonight, if it has to do with medication, or if it's, yeah, I don't know. And yeah, I crack my windows. Sleep with a lot of blankets. Had my, sleeping bag set up. The food. Oh, I kept my food in like a luggage bag. So I'd have a bag, and I'd keep my food there. But in the back, that was no, what? I'd keep some food in the trunk. I'd keep some extra cans of beans and stuff in the trunk. Then in the bag, I'd have like my cans, and I'd have my fruits and vegetables, and then I'd have some, the tuna and stuff, those cans, and then I'd put drinks would be separate, because drinks are kind of in their own container. My drinks. Then I have my laptop bag, and that I have my laptop charger. Then I like extra battery source for my phone, and a charger for that, and a notebook I think I kept in that too, and some pens. My busted up laptop bag was my dad's. I think I broke it. And then what else? Yeah, I play guitar a lot too. Forgot about that. Sleep. I slept sometimes in the back seat. That was all right. I'm tall, but if you're not tall, then just sleep in the back seat is what I would definitely recommend. Um, you know, and there I felt the most hidden. You know, there I was really kind of like couldn't see me. Um, if you watch Hobo Alley's vids, she'll tell you this also. Like, you can kind of like pull in, so you're like, you know, you have a car in front of you and then cars next to you, and you're kind of like totally obscured there. I mean, at Walmart, they literally have like security cameras and people on duty, you know, same if the Flying J's, they have a security guard. Um, you know, don't read car break-in statistics. It's fucking ridiculous. I don't understand how that's a thing. Um, don't read crime rates. Um, and yeah. Um, it actually, I got so nervous because it's the weirdest thing, because I'd be like, you know, obviously the first thing is you're afraid that, you know, you're vulnerable sleeping in a car. But then I thought, you know, if someone, first of all, like, the likelihood, like, I've, you know, maybe once or twice in my life seen a person sleeping in their car. So it's like a very, it would be an extremely, like, for the attacker, like, you would just never, yeah, I just feel like that wouldn't be on anyone's radar as like, oh, you know, it's like, because if someone's like a murderer or a rapist, it's like you find the person, you murder them, you rape them, you know? I mean, I don't know. It's just like, I guess the idea would be kidnapping, but it's like, if someone is a kidnapper, or if they're trying to mug you, like if you want to mug somebody, like why would you go after a person that's like in a motor vehicle? I don't know. It's just like, it just seems so odd that a person would, you know, react that way to a person sleeping in their car, where it's like, you know, because I could have a gun there, I could, you know, I could drive away, or like, you know, it's like, I don't know. Like, I feel like there are not many people going through a parking lot looking for a person that's sleeping. Yeah, that's really what ultimately calmed me on that. It's like, you know, if a person was going to kidnap somebody, you know, they wouldn't be, you know, maybe they would if they saw me, but they wouldn't be looking for me. Like, there wouldn't be people that would like be going through a parking lot at night to try to find people there, because it's very rare that you're gonna find people there, um, unless you're at a Walmart, where you'd never do it because you'd get caught. Uh, but on the other hand, like, if they're just trying to jack a car, like, a person that's a carjacker isn't a kidnapper, so they're not going to like. I feel like I'm actually safer by sleeping in the car than not, because it's like a deterrent against the car getting jacked. Because why would you jack a car with a person in it when you could just jack a car? You know, it doesn't make any sense why you would pick that car, you know, when there's someone that, you know, again, could shoot you, or like, you know, people that are going to jack cars aren't going with a weapon necessarily, even. Because why would you? Uh, and it's just like so much, you know, it's like they could just go to another part. It's like, yeah, I have the keys, but like, if you know how to, I don't know. It's just like, again, it's like people aren't going to look for other people. But then I got so nervous when I would just be parked somewhere and would leave my car somewhere. I would just be like, someone might jack my car because I'm not in it. And I'd never had that fear before, but then it was always on my mind, which I thought was kind of funny. I mean, also I had stuff in it, so there was that, but anyways, don't be so afraid. Everything always works out. Be aware of the clearance of your vehicle. I scraped bottoms so many fucking times. Don't do that. It's really dumb. Just get a high clearance vehicle. Get a 4-wheel drive vehicle. Don't go off-road in a 2-wheel drive low clearance vehicle like every day. And drink lots of water. That's a good life tip. Drink lots of water. Hydrate, you guys. Hydrate. Go read the Gospel of Ryan's 01 on the NoFap subreddit. That really helped me out a lot. It's a really, really good. Just to sum up, I think I've said this in the video also, but to sum up, it's the number one thing, it's called no 0 days, which means you have no more days where you do nothing to get towards your goal, whatever your goal is. And if you don't have a goal, just make a goal. You know, maybe it's NoFap, maybe it's, you know, to get stronger physically, maybe it's, you know, it's whatever it is. So you just set, you know, small achievable goals, and even if you don't meet those goals, you do something, you know, literally like one push-up. And that was something that I did. I would do one push-up every day, and naturally it turned into, you know, 2 and 3 and 10, and, you know, then I was doing, you know, like maybe 50 to 100 push-ups a day. But what was more important than that was that I didn't miss a day. Is that every day I would do at least one. And then some days I wouldn't, you know, I would just kind of like convulse in my bed. Like, I'd just have that effort there. You know, I'd recommend doing one full push-up, not the fake just kind of moving in your bed to make it feel like you did one. But, you know, that's still better than nothing. Like, it's the habit building is really the key behind that. And that builds confidence. Because it actually is really damaging to like continually fail, like to continually not do anything towards what you want, you know. So even doing something very small is like astronomically more than nothing. The difference between 0 and 1 is like so much more than the difference between like 1 and 100, I guess, when it comes to like this type of stuff. Anyways, so no 0 days. Then 2 and 3, I kind of meld them together in my head, so I forget exactly what it was. But the key to those basically is about thanking yourself and forgiving yourself. So basically, you know, if you did something good, then make sure that you say thank you afterwards. And if you did something bad, then make sure that you forgive yourself afterwards. You know, and those both go into just kind of loving yourself, treating yourself how you would treat a best friend. And it's something Jordan Peterson talks about as well. And then, and I might be missing actually part of what those were about in the gospel. The fourth is exercise and books, which is pretty straightforward. You know, read something, do some exercise every day. You know, I think exercise is, it's really the most important one, actually. Yeah, that was absolutely huge for me. I was actually at a low point in my life, and I actually read that, and that actually helps me a lot. It's like the first thing that actually did that for me, in that way. And life is strange, you guys. Pirates, I say, I always saw from the ships in the south to take a while. Spent my was being strong with the end of the old man before in this generation. Traveling one showed me seeing the sun's free side or has redemption science emancipate yourself from mental slavery, none but ourselves free our minds, having a fear for atomic energy, society itself to have it along with the color prophets always stand silent looks and say it's just part of it we got for the war. Show me seeing the sun's free side or has redemption songs.